Well, welcome to another episode of Port Charles Chat. I'm Mom.
And I'm Brandon.
Thank you so much for joining with us today again.
Yes, thank you for joining us as always.
Alrighty, this is the week we're talking about of January 19th through January 23rd, and we are taping on the day of January 25th. All right, Brandon, have you had a good week?
I have, Mom. How about you?
I have had a good week. All right, it's been another exciting week of General Hospital. We have 4 days of information to report. First of all, Anna. Anna is still being held captive. She is now beginning to imagine or envision a conversation that she had with Peter. And then she's also hearing the voice of Faison. We've not seen Faison yet. At this point in time, we have just heard his voice. Um, Emma is really worried about her grandmother, and she goes to the police station. She goes there really to see Mac, but instead she sees Nathan, and Nathan said he would get right on it to find out what's going on. Portia actually has a meeting at the hospital, and she meets with Tracy and Laura about her position. And then later, Curtis also says positive things about Portia to Laura. He has a meeting with her later on that day. Alexis and Suzanne spoke about Willow's trial, and then Willow allows Alexis. And then later on, we find out that Willow does allow Alexis to take care of Scout during a time of need. Chase and Michael end up fighting about Willow. And by that, I mean fist fight about Willow. Jason actually comes and ends up having to break them up. Chase ends up being demoted to a patrolman. All right. Britt is threatened by Cullen. And so she takes it upon herself to decide to act like she doesn't like Jason, and so she kind of picks a fight with Carly and then picks a fight with Jason. A little right after that, Colin actually witnesses this, or at least for portions of the fight, so she's doing everything she can to kind of to show that she does not care about the people in Port Charles, so that she can kind of do what Colin needs for her to do. She's kind of doing this because Colin is basically threatening her family, which she considers Rocco part of her family. Danny does ask Jason about seeing Scout, and Danny goes to Alexis later to ask the same question. Jocelyn is asked by Brennan not to be involved with the Windermere caper, and so Brennan asked Jocelyn basically not to go at all to Windermere and to kind of act like she is not involved with the WSB until she hears otherwise from him. Okay, you guys know Jocelyn. Jocelyn has made her way to Windermere to see her brother. However, she does know that Pascal is not in town, and this is per Lucas. So she thinks she's safe. And then, but at the same time, while she's at Windermere, Ava's there. And Ava just kind of Ava ends up catching Jocelyn as she's kind of taking some time to look around. So, and then Stella apologizes to Portia. And then the most exciting thing happened this week. We saw a little bit of it last week. Willow ends up actually stabbing Drew with a shot that actually mirrors a stroke. We're given the diagnosis that Drew could possibly be in a vegetative state, but he could possibly hear things that are going on, but he's not able to react. But at this point in time, they're just kind of speculating on his outcome. And Willow is acting like she cares about Drew. But in the meantime, she has gotten rid of the evidence that she had, the shot that she's given Drew. And so this is the week in a nutshell. Brandon, I'm going to ask you if I left anything out, but I kind of talk about Willow really quickly and Drew. First of all, I think all of us were shocked when Willow did inject Drew with this medication. Drew himself was shocked when he fell down. This week, we really didn't see Drew. We just know that he's in the hospital being taken care of. And so this just kind of shows how crazy sick that Willow is. And I think she's a little further along than most people anticipated. Your thoughts about Willow?
Well, before I get into my thoughts of Willow, to go to your, if you left anything out, as a small sort of add-on is, Brennan did say to Jocelyn that in the event that it would arouse more suspicion, to uh, if it aroused more suspicion to back out of things at Windermere, then she can participate, but just keep her balance. So I'm sure for her, since she has been invited to Windermere by Lucas, that as long as she's invited, as long as it doesn't arouse suspicion, she's more than welcome to browse around. And so thankfully Lucas wants to visit the catacombs. But going back to what you're saying about Willow, um, yeah, I definitely feel that everyone's underestimated her, except for Tracy, Alexis, and Michael.
Yeah, well, Nina's looking at her kind of oddly too now. Also, she's kind of questioning her reaction to everything because Nina did ask her later why she was acting that way. She's like, "You don't like him. You kind of like you're coming on a little too strong." And Willow just says, "Well, he is my husband."
In that he needs to get the treatment he deserves.
Yes, that's what she says. So I think this is going to be really interesting to see how this kind of pans out. I'm really impressed with General Hospital and what they're doing right now with the storyline.
Yes, I'm definitely impressed as well. I'm quite excited to see sort of how they play this out in terms of, the undealings of Willow and Drew, more so on the Willow side. But I'm curious as to if everyone that was either for or against Willow are all going to turn on each other now, because now that since she's been proven not guilty, or as Drew says, proven innocent, because that's totally a thing, that yeah, I'm sure they're going to turn on each other and make themselves guilty in something new, in the sense of like Michael and Chase hitting each other, and Tracy willing to be Jason's alibi for what he didn't do yet. I say yet, and
Yeah,
other things.
yeah. I think I really can't wait to see Chase's face when he realizes what Willow has done the whole time. I think that will be the the thing worth seeing. I mean, Drew, I'm sure at this point has figured it out, but Chase's face will be one to watch.
I think the question is, how would Brooklyn react to Chase finding out?
You know, that would be interesting. Well, Brooklyn doesn't care either way. I think Brooklyn is not a proponent for Willow. And so Brooklyn will be okay. It will be really how Chase reacts to finding out and what Willow will say about his reaction.
Well, I'm more so saying in the sense of how will Brooklyn react to Chase's reaction, in the sense of even though Brooklyn does agree that Chase has gone too far in his research and all this and that at the end of the day, she still loves him and wouldn't expect anything else from him. That being said, I feel Chase is probably going to have a pretty extreme reaction to this whole Willow thing and probably disbelief, which I think will in turn hurt Willow.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
Brooklyn.
true. Brooklyn. Yep, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen too. All right, Brandon. I know you brought up something I left out. Did I leave out anything else?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, it's definitely was a jam packed week, or in the case of Willow, jabbing people week.
Yes, it was. It was. All right, so let's talk about our performers of the week. And so you might be surprised at some of them who have picked. I actually have three this week. The first one I'm going to pick is really going to surprise you, Brandon, because I picked Suzanne. She is actually Alexis's, and most people don't know her name. She is Alexis's secretary or front receptionist or whatever Suzanne is. But I like the conversation she had with Alexis, and so I thought she did a good job this week. I actually put Kai down this week because Kai is beginning to serve some sort of a purpose. And I like the conversation that he did have with Willow and Nina, and how unsure he is about what he needs to do. But at the same time, he knows he has a job, so wants to do what his job entails. And then once more, Willow is actually my performer of the week, too, because I mean, when you can act crazy, you do a good job with it. All right, Brando, who are your performers of the week?
At the beginning of this week, at some point, I was like, I had two performers. Now, who were those two performers? I remember one of them. So I will go with that one and start from there. So the first one I have, of course, is Willow, for the same reasons that you mentioned. I kind of like how she's also sort of able to play both sides. And I don't know at this point. Yeah, because I know original fears is that maybe she has like another personality. But no, this is all I'm pretty sure her. The question is she fully aware? I'm not saying about what she's done. I'm curious as to how much she's even able to fool herself in the sense of, because I think it's more fooling herself as opposed to any sort of extra personalities in the sense of, does she know who knows what?
Yeah, I agree with that too. All right, Brandon, who's your second person?
Okay, I've had to think about this, but I'm gonna say Tracy.
Okay. Yeah, Tracy's always a good performer of the week.
And one of the reasons I'll say that, which we'll get to, I'm sure, later, but she's been able to have a few different roles in this week of being like the calm mediator, and I think I love being able to see the different sides of Tracy, and so she was actually being able to be a calm, supportive voice for Willow, and also for Portia, and then again for even Chase and Brooklyn.
Yeah, she was. You're very right about that, Brandon. And then for our amusing scenes of the week, um, I had specific scenes, and they were just kind of short scenes. And so one actually was involved Willow's face in regards to Drew. I was getting a kick of how she was looking around as things were happening. So that to me was kind of amusing to watch. And then actually Eva watching Joss. Eva's just fun to watch anyway. But when she kind of observed Joss, while Joss was kind of looking around trying to figure out what what she's doing, um, that to me was kind of amusing. So those are my kind of amusing, just tiny little scenes of the week. All right, Brandon, what about you?
Did you mean Ava?
Ava, I'm sorry. Ava, did I say Nina?
You
Ava.
said Eva.
Eva. I'm getting them confused. Ava watching Joss. Yes. All right, Brandon.
Okay, amusing scene of the week. I feel like there were quite a bit of interesting, amusing things that just sort of happen. But if I had to uh, narrow it down, I would say that actually, and this might sound like an odd choice, Alexis's facial expressions throughout this entire week.
Yeah. She doesn't, poor thing, doesn't know what to think. Yeah.
I mean, I think, and especially like when she went to go answer the door for Willow, and the sense of that before Willow even said what was going on, Alexis is looking like, what could you possibly have done this time? And also, I'm kind of amused, so I'm going to let you in.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have any other amusing scenes of the week?
I mean, outside of agreeing with what you said, I don't think so. At least once it stand out.
Alrighty. As for touching scenes of the week for me, the first one for me was Laura and Elizabeth. They had a really nice conversation, and I like that Elizabeth asked Laura how she was doing because people have not asked Laura that question. And so I like the scenes that they had together. And then Danny and Jason had a nice scene in regards to Scout. And then Danny and Alexis had a nice scene also in regards to Scout. And so they're both kind of answering the question very tactfully and letting them know that Danny can't see Scout, but they're explaining why he can't see Scout. Now, we also know Danny. Danny will eventually see Scout. He'll just make his way over there. But at least he's been told by the adults in his life that he shouldn't see Scout at this time. All right, Brandon, what were your touching scenes of the week?
Well, to add on to those, I'm also going to say the scenes of Tracy throughout this week. I thought she had sort of a lot of empathy in how she reacted, and one that might shock you is one uh, with Portia and Stella.
Okay. No, they actually did have a nice scene together. I did like that.
Yes, even if Isaiah's role in it is very skewed.
Yes, yes. And then, did you have any fast forward scenes this week? I did not.
No.
All right. And as for miss scene, sometimes we have a miss scene here or there. Did you miss a particular scene this week?
I miss being able to see an additional episode of this week.
Yes, because our Friday was really Thursday. So, yes, I missed that too. All right. And then actually, I'm going to throw one in here, Brandon, because I know this is going to sound really odd, but I actually had an outfit of the week this week. And that actually was Elizabeth. When Elizabeth spoke to Laura, she had on a skirt that for me, I thought was very cute. And this is just a me thing. I thought it was really cute. So for me, I wanted to give kudos to whoever dressed her that day and found that outfit. All right. And then as for welcome backs, we're going to welcome back Stella. I think it's been a little while since we've seen her. And I think that was the only welcome back that I had this week. What about you?
Yeah, I
Oh, I'm
believe.
sorry. I'm sorry. And welcome back, Peter, I think.
Yes, yes, we're definitely welcoming back. Or do we want to welcome back Peter?
I don't want to welcome him back, but I will acknowledge that he was there.
Yeah, and I definitely think after we finish our superlatives, I do want to speak about him for a moment. But yeah, I definitely think that those are our welcome backs.
All righty. And then our where are yous? Of course, we have Ned and Olivia who come and go, and so they're gone again. And then and Terry. Where are you, Terry? Did I leave anyone out, Brandon?
I'd add him back to the list.
Oh yeah, because we were asked about Mac, and Mac was not there. And then we have temporarily said goodbye to Pascal. Apparently, he's back to wherever he came from, and so he has left the scene for the moment. All right, Brandon, are there any other goodbyes that I missed?
Not that I'm aware of.
All righty, Brandon. You said you want to talk about Peter. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I wanted to speak about that in the sense of, like, we've seen all of sort of Anna's illusions and thoughts over the past few weeks and how everyone's really messing with her head in the sense of they're making her think that she's in France because Pascal will only speak French. They made them think that Liesel was there because the nurse lady had a Liesel, I guess, mask on, I guess in Faison sense, and then was messing with her. And so oftentimes we end by seeing the illusion end. And of course, even with the Faison voice, even Anna's picking on the fact that, there's, like, I guess supposedly the real Faison would also physically be there. The thing about it is for Peter, Anna's been able to leave the room and Peter's still there.
Yeah, so I don't know what kind of drugs they gave Anna because we do know that they did give her some sort of drugs. They said it was a blood transfusion, but we don't know what could be infused in there also. So I don't know what Anna has in her body. And I did notice that Peter seemed to physically be there, unlike, the nurse who disappeared and then Faison's voice. So hopefully Peter has not returned. I didn't really care for Peter the first time, so I really don't want to see him back again. That goes along with my Faison thought too. So so I really want to see where they're going with this, but at the same time, poor Anna has been tortured so many times, and there are other storylines where poor Anna has been tortured throughout the years. So hopefully they will wrap this up soon.
Now, a thought about this is what if, of course, Peter is not Peter, but actually Pascal?
Well, and that could be true too, because since Pascal has disappeared and they would have almost the same body makeup, so that could be true too.
And and yeah, I definitely am curious. And I think that within this past week or so, I think we're going to see a shift from focusing on the Drew and Willow storyline to focusing on the Anna storyline.
Yes, I think so, and especially since now that Emma has really interested in knowing where her mother is, and Brennan at this point is concerned too. Oh, and something else that came up with Brennan is that Brennan does not trust Cullen. He let Jocelyn know that, so he knows something's going on with Cullen. He just doesn't know exactly what that is.
Yes, and so I do hope, for whatever it's worth, that actually I have another missing person, but I do hope
Okay.
that they let, in my thought, Emma and maybe Emma and Geo be the one that finds Anna.
Yeah, that would be nice too. It would be nice if they were the ones who were able to find Anna,
Yes, but
since the especially since the police department's not able to do that. But yes,
yes, maybe that's how Chase will get his detective badge back. That they go to him since he's the only not working person. Since they told Nathan their issues, and well, Nathan's probably not Nathan.
yeah, yeah. So we'll have to see how that kind of comes out, and that'll be interesting to see what Nathan is or is not.
Either that or Nathan actually is a Nathan, but there's something else going on. Only reason I say that is because I I don't know. I feel like this would be a long time to be playing a ruse, but because they said that he was active at some point in time during the 7 years, at least when they found him. I mean, there's always the possibility of, since they brought Britt back, that he was just preserved as well and has been doing whatever. So I mean, who really knows when it comes to the Faison family?
Yeah, very true, very true. Who was the character that we forgot about?
Valentine.
Oh, yes, you're right. He was missing this week.
Maybe he'll find Anna.
Yeah, he might find Anna. Actually, it'll probably be Jocelyn who finds Anna. It'll probably be Jocelyn and Lucas.
I really hope that, because I could easily see this, because everyone's been warning Lucas for weeks and months and years at this point, about Marco, and I'm concerned a little bit as to where they're going with the storyline, in the sense of leaving Lucas in the dark, but also not actually having him in his own storyline.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like I said, hopefully, I don't want Lucas to find Anna because he would then be in trouble also, and he would be held captive. I would prefer that Jocelyn finds him because Jocelyn will be able to figure it out.
I just hope that when Lucas figures out what's going on, that he's not sort of blindsided by this, that he's actually one of the people that actively figures this out. And it's not like, oh yeah, and then this is his way back to Brad.
Oh, yeah, that would be weird. But yes, yeah. All right, Brandon, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I mean, we're definitely sort of at an interesting crossroads. I'm hoping that we're able to keep the lovely suspense with the whole Willow situation, and I'm sort of curious as to how people will self-destruct each other in the process of trying to figure this out. Because Michael would be the character I'm concerned about.
Yes, yes. That is very true because we don't know how Michael's going to react when actually during the situation. Finding out about Willow's one thing, but I think during the situation is something else.
I mean, because for all Michael knows, I know he knows about the Daisy stuff, which I interestingly haven't brought up lately, but I I mean, theoretically for him, Drew's out of the picture, and he was the one that he was really concerned about. But the question is, does he think Willow actually did it?
I think he knows Willow did it. I'm pretty sure he saw Willow do it. He was just kind of protecting the mother of his children, which sounds odd when everything he's done, but I think he was protecting her because he didn't want the children to find out that is their mother's capable of that. But he knows that they shouldn't be with their mother at the same time. So we'll have to see how they kind of play this out.
Yeah, we definitely will. But if Alexis is a part of the storyline, I'm all here for it.
Oh, I know, I know. So you guys let us know in the comments your thoughts about things that are going on, and we look forward to speaking to you next time. Have a great day, everybody.
We'll see you then.
All right, bye bye.